Scott Morrison will use an address ahead of the G20 in Japan to pressure the US and China to make a trade deal. Conceding global markets are under real pressure due to the strained relationship. The Prime Minister says the result is a risk for Australia, and there are real warnings about the impact of a worsening relationship, that it will be felt domestically. Here's our chief political reporter, Kieran Gilbert.
On the eve of the G20 summit, the Prime Minister set to give his most nuanced foreign policy speech. He's warning against seeing the US-China relationship through a binary prism that sees them as adversaries, with the conflict getting worse and worse. He's saying that there needs to be more nuance in the look, and as I say, I think one of his best foreign policy addresses to this point. But he's also very clear in the other sense. He's saying that the two adversaries need to get a deal done, and that both have responsibility, that China needs to fix some of the distortions in the trading system, like intellectual property theft, and that the US, as a great power, has great responsibility. The Prime Minister says the trade war is already having a negative impact globally and on Australia, although his Trade Minister a bit more optimistic about the impact on local exporters in the short term.
Continued uncertainty, or indeed a continued depression in terms of the rates of global trade, will not be good news for any economy.
Will it hurt Australian economic growth?
It will hurt economic growth globally, and that will have an impact on pretty much each and every nation. And there could also be, depending on what occurs, short-term or even medium-term upsides, that if trade in some areas is suppressed between those two economic powers, that may well create opportunities.
Maybe a short-term boost for local exporters, according to the Trade Minister, but he knows, as does the Prime Minister, the outcome of these Osaka talks at the G20 are pivotal, not just to the relationship between China and the US, but the whole region, and even our government's projected surplus rests so much on a restoration of trade rules in this region and beyond. Kieran Gilbert, Sky News in Tokyo.